So the new chapter we have started, that is the non-equilibrium thermodynamics. What's the need of it and how it differs from the equilibrium thermodynamics, a basic concept we have discussed. Whenever equilibrium thermodynamics is there, a rate of backward and forward direction that is equal, that makes a equality sign, and that equality sign help us to use the math in order to interpret the various relations. That is why equilibrium thermodynamics little bit easy. Non-equilibrium thermodynamics, then we only discuss the flows here, flow of charge, flow of mass. These type of concept are there. Flow of heat is there. Then a flow is exhibited due to some driving force. So that flow per unit area is termed as the flux. So generally flux and forces, they are being considered in the non-equilibrium thermodynamics. We discussed the phenomenological relations or model, but I said regarding that any fact that is not provable, not observable, we can say it is nominal. Which is observable, that is termed as the phenomenon. Then the phenomenological relation is the relation where we merely explain the fact by putting a equation, but that equation is not a direct outcome of the theory. That is termed as the phenomenological relations. Here we discuss the four phenomenological relations. One is the Fourier law, that is for the heat transfer. Another is the Fickian law of diffusion for the mass transfer. Another one, Newton's law for the momentum transfer, and Ohm's law for the flow of electricity. Since one flow cannot be independent of the another flow, so here a equation is being given in front of you, that is showing the rate of change of mass of first quantity dm1 with respect to some variable, that is the dx, and it is equal to diffusion constant, then variation in the concentration with respect to the same component as the mass is varying, and plus it is the constant how the effect of the variation of second component is there on the flow of the first component, that is being there. So the flows, they are not the independent flows, they are termed as the conjugated flows. Similar equation can be written for the another component, but if we describe just like this way, then we will have so many coefficients. Onsager gave a relation that is known as the linear phenomenological relations. He said that the fluxes, they are linearly related with the type of the forces which are associated there. So Ji, that can be written as Li1 x1 plus Li2 x2 plus Lin xn, where these phenomenological coefficients or primary phenomenological coefficients, these Lij, they are I determines the type of flux, and second subscript, whether it is 1, 2 or 3, that is determining the type of force. So the coefficient is related with the type of flux or type of flow, as well as it is related with the type of the force. If I substitute the all values here, for example J1, then I will have L11 here, or for J3 somewhere I will have L33. Wherever the I is equal to J, these are termed as the primary phenomenological coefficients. But I said where both I and J are equal, L11, L22, L33, L44, these are termed as the primary phenomenological coefficients. Where they differ, I is different than the J, then these are termed as the Onsager phenomenological coefficients. These are termed as the Onsager phenomenological coefficient. It is very easy to determine the primary phenomenological coefficients where the type of flux and type of force they are related with each other. I mean to say L11, L22 टाइप ऑफ फ्लक्स भी वही है, टाइप ऑफ फोर्स भी वही है, तो उसको डिटरमिन करना जो है वो इजी है. इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू डिटरमिन द coefficients which on Sager phenomenological coefficients where type of flux it differs from the type of the force. Means I want to say that flux is of the I type and force is of the J type. But theoretically on Sager said that it is Lij is equal to Lji. It means L12 will be equal to L12, L21 will be equal to L12, L13 will be equal to L31. It means the phenomenological coefficients will be equal where the effect of the force, J force on the I flux is similar to the effect of the I force on the J flux. So here these relations Lij is equal to Lji, that is termed as the Onsager reciprocal relations or reciprocity relations. We narrate them Onsager reciprocal relations or reciprocity relations. Now it is said that it happens only for the coupled flow. How the coupled flow or conjugate flow they are defined, that is not so much clear. But for the time being, consider here our conducting rod which is having some dimension, unit dimension you can say, not you can say it is a flat, it is only just like a wire, conducting wire. Then how the current flows through it, it depends upon the potential gradient. Means how the potential gradient or potential varies from one end of the wire to the another end of the wire. So delta E, change in the potential difference, that is responsible for the flow of the current. As the current will flow, obviously there will be a flow of electron from one side to the another side. So another flow which is conjugated with this one, with the current flow, it is the entropy current or it is the entropy flux, because there will be change in the number of electrons from one side to the another side. So these two flows, they are termed as the conjugated flows. So for these two flows we can write the equation. For the current flow, it is current flux I is equal to L11 into delta E. So first term is the flux and it is equal to phenomenological coefficient, and second point here delta E, it is the cause, it is the potential gradient, that is, or it is the force that is causing the flow of the current, plus it is the again coefficient which Onsager phenomenological coefficients here L12, because it is the flow of current, but it is force is different. Which force? It is the change in temperature. Whenever there is a flow of current between the two ends is there is a change in temperature of one end to the another end. So that is the L12, it is the flow 1 but effect of the gradient of the another thing or another force. In the same way we can write here entropy flow, that is equal to L21, it is flux is of the second type but force is of the first type delta E, plus L22, it is flux is of the second type, force is again of the same type. So these two flows, they can be termed as the conjugate flows. These can be said as the conjugate flows. So it is easy to determine experimentally L11 and L22. Via the control of various factors, we can determine the L11 and L22, and from the Onsager phenomenological relations, we can determine we can say L21 is equal to L12. ये दोनों जो coefficients हैं, they will be equal to each other because of the Onsager phenomenological or reciprocity relations. Various types of these equations for conjugate flows, they can be written. So we are able to write only linear phenomenological relations where we are having a flux and that is proportional to the some gradient or some force multiplied by the some coefficients. What coefficients? They are designated as flux type as well as force type, both conjugate उन दोनों का है, as well as whenever conjugate flows are there, effect of the second force is also there on the flux of the first type. Now let us discuss here conservation of the mass and energy in an open system. So how we can discuss the conservation of the mass? So each and everything is written, I will explain here, but these terms they are indicating. First of all, see this sidewise box here. That box says that this contains so many components, where components are 1, 2, 3, 4 up to C components. So the value is up to the C components. Any in between component he has termed as that as the gamma component. जस्ट लाइक कि बोलते हैं कि हाँ जी n कंपोनेंट है, बीच में ith कंपोनेंट ले लिया, तो थोड़ा बहुत उसने इक्विलिब्रियम थर्मोडायनामिक्स से उसको डिफर करने के लिए डिफरेंट पैरामीटर्स जो हैं वो यहाँ पर चूज किए हुए हैं. सो ही इज नॉट टेकिंग सिंपली दैट 1 to n एंड टेकिंग एज द ith कंपोनेंट. ही सेज इट इज द नंबर ऑफ कंपोनेंट C and any in between component that is taken as the gamma. Any in between component that is taken as the gamma. So he says whenever these components are present, any change in the mass of any component that will take place if there is a reaction between these components are there. अगर किसी बीकर में कोई कंपोनेंट्स हैं, कोई केमिकल्स हैं, तो उनकी मास में तब तक चेंज नहीं आएगा जब तक उनके बीच में जो वो रिएक्शन पॉसिबल नहीं है. When there is a reaction between these components, then there will be a change in the mass of that component. So he says how much change in the mass of gamma component, that is the dm gamma. That is the dm gamma. He says it is equal to stoichiometric coefficient, that is b gamma here. गामा कंपोनेंट है तो उसको आपने वो नहीं करना है कि गामा बार बार क्यों यूज कर रहा है. फॉर द गामा कंपोनेंट जो है वो उसने कंसीडर किया है. सो चेंज ऑफ द मास ऑफ द गामा कंपोनेंट, इट इज इक्वल टू बी गामा, दैट इज द स्टोइकियोमेट्रिक कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ द गामा कंपोनेंट. आई विल एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज द स्टोइकियोमेट्रिक कोएफिशिएंट. देन मोलर मास ऑफ द गामा कंपोनेंट एंड डी जीटा, दैट इज द एडवांसमेंट ऑफ द रिएक्शन. That is the advancement of the reaction. Now you know कि जब भी रिएक्शन होगा तो जैसे जैसे रिएक्शन एडवांस होगा तभी गामा कंपोनेंट की मास में चेंज आएगी. सो इट शुड बी देयर एडवांसमेंट ऑफ रिएक्शन. एडवांसमेंट ऑफ रिएक्शन कैसे डिफाइन किया वो नीचे डिफाइन कर रहा है. बी गामा स्टोइकियोमेट्रिक कोएफिशिएंट भी ले रखा और डी गामा भी इसने एम गामा भी ले रखा है. मान लीजिए नीचे रिएक्शन है N2 plus 3H2 plus that gives the 2NH3. Now you know 14 इसका एटॉमिक वेट होता है तो 14 into 2 28 हो गया. 3 2 जा 6 इसका आ गया और 17 अमोनिया के लिए मॉलिक्यूलर वेट आएगा तो 2 into 17 34 आ गया. तो जो मासेस चेंज होंगी वो उसी हिसाब से चेंज होंगी. 28 ग्राम से अगर 1 मोल यूज होता है नाइट्रोजन का तो 28 ग्राम ऑफ नाइट्रोजन विल रिएक्ट विद द 6 ग्राम ऑफ द हाइड्रोजन. तो दोनों की मासेस में वेरिएशन है, वो किस किस फैक्टर के ऊपर डिपेंड कर रही हैं, दैट इज डिपेंडिंग अपॉन कि उसका मोलर मास कितनी है। जिसकी मोलर मास ज्यादा है उसके ज्यादा अमाउंट यूटिलाइज होगा, जिसकी मोलर मास कम है उसका कम अमाउंट यूटिलाइज होगा। साथ में मोलर मास में कोई स्टोक्योमेट्रिक कॉफिशिएंट, ये जो 3 और 2 लगा है दैट आर द स्टोक्योमेट्रिक कॉफिशिएंट्स। तो 3 इंटू अगर केवल हाइड्रोजन होता तो 2 ग्राम आना था, लेकिन 3 होने से 3 2 जा क्या हो गया, 6 हो गया। सो दिस मीन्स change in the mass it will be equal to stoichiometric coefficient as well as how much is the molar mass as well as what is the advancement of the reaction। reaction कितना जो है वो complete हो चुका है उसके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है। the advancement of the reaction is not similar to the rate of the reaction, yet it seems to be just like the rate of reaction। so here d zeta is equal to change in the mass of nitrogen divided by molar mass of nitrogen। sign is being taken negative because the mass of the nitrogen it is decreasing with the passage of time। तो जो स्टोक्योमेट्रिक कॉफिशिएंट्स हैं उनमें भी प्लस माइनस साइन जो है वो मेंटेन रखना है। अगर रिएक्टेंट की बात है तो स्टोक्योमेट्रिक कॉफिशिएंट नेगेटिव आएगा, और अगर प्रोडक्ट्स की बात है तो स्टोक्योमेट्रिक कॉफिशिएंट जो है वो पॉजिटिव लेने हैं। देन it is advancement of reaction in terms of the hydrogen, it is change in the mass of hydrogen divided by 3 into molar mass of the hydrogen। and similarly it can be written with respect to the ammonia, change in the mass of ammonia divided by twice the molar mass of the ammonia। so that is the advancement of the reaction। so these relations simply dm gamma is equal to stoichiometric coefficient, molar mass as well as advancement of reaction, the product of all these three। the total mass is equal to, written as here, it is the summation of all masses of the all components। so m gamma 1 2 3 पुट अप करते चलेंगे तो m1 m2 m3 m4 इस तरह से डिफरेंट मासेस आती रहेंगी, that is equal to the total mass। so the last relation here m, that is equal to summation of all molar masses of the components। he says dm is equal to b gamma m gamma summation and d zeta is equal to 0। now first of all let us see what is this। पिछले स्लाइड में मैंने यहां dm गामा लिया था, गामा कंपोनेंट की मोलर मास, यहां मैंने ली टोटल मास, चेंज इन द टोटल मास dm। तो सारे कंपोनेंट आ गए तो इसका मतलब समेशन का साइन आएगा। किसका साइन आएगा? समेशन का। तो समेशन गामा, देन इट इज b गामा एंड m गामा, इट इज द स्टोक्योमेट्रिक कोएफिशिएंट, मोलर मास ऑफ द पर्टिकुलर कंपोनेंट, एंड d zeta is equal to 0। why he says so? whenever the system is closed in a beaker, it is not exchanged with the surroundings, then what will happen? whatever mass is there that will not change। mass of what? कि आपने 2 ग्राम मान लो उसमें जो है वो सोडियम क्लोराइड ले रखा है और उसमें जो वो 3 ग्राम सिल्वर नाइट्रेट ले रखा है, तो टोटल वेट हो गया 5 ग्राम। चाहे वो रिएक्शन कंप्लीट हो जाए, चाहे वो अनरिएक्ट रहे, चाहे कुछ भी हो उसमें, लेकिन बीकर के अंदर 5 ग्राम मास जो वो चेंज नहीं होगी, दैट विल नॉट चेंज एट ऑल। दैट इज वाई dm विल बी इक्वल टू 0। दैट इज वाई dm चेंज इन द मास विल बी इक्वल टू 0। वाई इट इज 0? बिकॉज दिस फैक्टर जो प्राइमरी फैक्टर है, कौन सा? समेशन वाला फैक्टर, दैट इक्वल्स टू 0। एडवांसमेंट ऑफ रिएक्शन इज नॉट इक्वल टू 0। रिएक्शन तो एडवांस हो सकता है, तो d zeta is not equal to 0, but b gamma m gamma is equal to 0। let us explain it with the help of the reaction। it is n2 plus 3h2 that gives the 2nh3। how b gamma and m gamma they are? -1, ये स्टोक्योमेट्रिक कोएफिशिएंट नाइट्रोजन के लिए, मल्टीप्लाइड बाई 28, रिएक्टेंट है तो नाइट्रोजन के लिए माइनस का साइन लगेगा। देन -3 into 2, that is stoichiometric coefficient of this hydrogen multiplied by its molecular weight 2। so -28 and -6, that becomes a -34, and it is plus stoichiometric coefficient positive for the products 2 into 17 molar mass of the ammonia। तो -34 + 34 दैट विल बी इक्वल टू 0। तो हर एक रिएक्शन के लिए जो है बी गामा एम गामा वो किसके इक्वल आएगा? 0 के इक्वल आएगा। किसके इक्वल आएगा? 0 के इक्वल। सो हियर व्हाट आई डू इन द नेक्स्ट इक्वेशन हियर, instead of keeping m gamma this side I take it to the this side। तो m gamma divided by molar mass, mass divided by molar mass, that means what? Number of moles, mass divided by molar mass, that is the number of moles। So it is change in the number of moles of the gamma component is equal to b gamma into advancement of the reaction। What is the rate of the reaction? Rate of the reaction is defined as it is V that is equal to d zeta upon dt। ये जो advancement of the reaction है, this factor in the kinetics has been provided by D Donder। वैसे तो हमने usual kinetics में इसको नहीं पढ़ा है क्योंकि वहां जरूरत पड़ती नहीं है, but this has been given in the known equilibrium thermodynamics। So from here dn gamma divided by dt, if I divide it by dt, this equation, then it will be b gamma as it is d zeta divided by dt। From here d zeta divided by dt, that is the rate of reaction, so dn gamma upon dt is equal to b gamma into b। You have to remember these relations because they will be utilized somewhere later on। तो आपको ये इक्वेशंस आनी भी चाहिए और इनको आपने याद भी रखना है। हाउ टू राइट द चेंज इन द नंबर ऑफ मोल्स, हेयर एग्जांपल इज बीइंग गिवन, इट इज ट्वाइस C प्लस O2 दैट गिव्स अ कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड। एक रिएक्शन कार्बन और ऑक्सीजन के बीच में ये पॉसिबल है। एक रिएक्शन कार्बन और ऑक्सीजन से क्या बन सकती है? कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड बन सकती है। हाउ द नंबर ऑफ मोल्स ऑफ द कार्बन दे आर चेंजिंग, इट इज इक्वल टू माइनस, बिकॉज दे आर रिएक्टेंट्स, 2, this is the b gamma, then that is the advancement of reaction d zeta 1, ये रिएक्शन 1 का है, तो क्या आएगा इसके साथ? d eta 1। और सेकेंड रिएक्शन में फिर कार्बन है तो -1 इंटू एडवांसमेंट ऑफ द सेकेंड रिएक्शन। इसी तरह से O2 के लिए इट इज d change in the number of moles of O2 that is equal to -d zeta 1 -d zeta 2। So in this way we can write the change in the number of moles। So let us discuss here how the conservation of mass can be discussed। Change in the mass of the gamma component is equal to DEm gamma DIm gamma। जो change in mass है वो दो तरह से उसने डिस्कस की है, that mass changes when there is a exchange with the surroundings and mass change when there is a internal exchange of the